What is up, memers? It is DrMemeologist, and if you are an epic gang weed gamer like I am, then you played COD at some point in time. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the first COD I ever played was back in like 5th grade, and it was Modern Warfare 3. I got it as like a Christmas gift, and I had played it with a couple of friends of mine in elementary school, and it was a fun time. You know, From what I understand, compared to Modern Warfare 2, it's pretty much the same game, just a bit more fair and balanced, which was good. I ran the support class because I sucked at the game at the time, but nowadays I'm pretty alright at COD games. I'd say my favorite one is probably Black Ops 2. Just the whole game, the maps, the guns, and the sheer amount of fun I had in that game is something that just hasn't been replaced ever. You know, all the time in that game we'd go on Search and Destroy, and everybody had a mic in that game, so everybody was just getting pissed at each other, and it was just a toxic yet fun experience overall. And recently I've seen the reveal trailer for Modern Warfare. Now honestly, this is like old school COD. This is basically how the first Modern Warfare trailer was. There was no, pop music going on, nothing like that. It was just straight up a gritty trailer showing off the game itself and sort of a grounded experience. And I was overall impressed by it, just looking at the graphics alone on it, which I'll have it running on screen. But just looking at the graphics alone on it, dude, this game is amazing to look at. Well, just the trailer alone. The trailer alone is really cool to look at. The graphics on it look amazing. The small amount of detail and everything, it looks phenomenal overall. Personally, I'm really excited to play this game. I'm really excited for it to come out too. Based on some recent news I've heard, this game has so much potential to do phenomenal as a game. Some of the most recent news, one of the biggest ones probably is the cross-platform ability, and if you haven't heard about that, basically they're going to allow it so that PlayStation, Xbox, and PC can all play together. And it's actually kind of surprising because I know Sony was having this whole thing where they didn't want to allow their players to have cross-platform ability, so I guess they managed to get that all sorted out. But you're probably wondering, Memeologist, if PC is able to play with console, wouldn't they just curb stomp them? Yeah, they would. However, if you are on PC, in order to play with console players, you have to have a controller hooked up and you must be using it. Definitely interesting. They said they'd go more in depth about how it was going to work, so kind of waiting to see how that plays out. Another thing too is that they apparently are running on a new engine. Now, if you didn't know, COD has been using pretty much the same engine since I believe World at War. Yeah, probably. Even Modern Warfare, probably. And all they've done is just slightly upgrade it as time has gone on. And now they've junked that completely, and they're using a new engine that Activision has developed for, I think, 5 years now. So that's cool. That's something new. It's always nice to see innovation like that, especially something that's been pretty much just rehashed for the past decade or so. It's interesting to see how that is going to perform. Another thing I was stoked to hear about is that there's going to be no season passes for this COD, and that all the post-launch maps are going to be free. And I like this idea because, personally speaking, I never bought any of the new maps. I haven't bought a map pack since Black Ops 2, and that was Uprising. So the main reason for that is because, one, I never got hooked on any of the new COD games. I'd play it, maybe get past the first Prestige, and just be done with it completely. I would never spend too much time playing one COD game, because guess what? It's a 1-year game and then it's done. There's no longevity to playing it. There's no reason to keep playing it. There's nothing fun about some of these newer COD games. And another thing too, there will be operators this time. Now you're probably wondering, aren't those like the specialists in Black Ops 4? No, actually. This is pretty interesting. all they are is just characters. They don't have any special abilities. They don't have, you know, certain things that make them different from one another, other than the fact that they have a background. You play as them. They have their own little storylines. They have their own little voice actors and everything like that. It's really cool, honestly. And I really look forward to seeing this, because it's just another piece of customization for players to have, and I like that, honestly. I like when there's a broad amount of customization, but nothing that really takes away from the core value of the game. Another thing too is that there's going to be sort of a progress transfer between all 3 game modes. So basically, whatever you gain in single player crosses over to multiplayer and co-op, multiplayer crosses over to single player and co-op, you know, yada yada yada. Which is cool. At least we'll have progression throughout each 3 game modes, which I'm kind of interested to see how single player co-op is going to work. I've heard something about, you know, the campaign's going to be something you could able to play with a couple other players. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see, I suppose. They're bringing back Spec Ops. Now, the last time there was ever like a Spec Ops mode, it was pretty much Modern Warfare 3. And I remember playing the shit out of that, mostly for the survival game mode, which was basically a survive as long as you can, you know, but it's not like zombies. And I feel like recently in COD, every game has relied on zombies as their 3rd game mode, and World War II zombies was just terrible. There's nothing fun about it, honestly. Like, even when you got a nuke, you know, if you got like a nuke in Black Ops 1, it'd do the kaboom. But now it just kind of pings up the thing and doesn't do anything, you know. It's so boring. So yeah, the Spec Ops, I'm really looking forward to that, mostly because me and my friends back when we used to play it, we just had a shit fun of time playing that game mode, because all it was just us trying to survive. It was balls to the walls with 3 helicopters and 5 juggernauts chasing us down, trying to wreck us, and we had to find a way to take out all of it. It was just a fun time, you know. We would do like some of the dumbest stuff, like just plant C4 at a corner and wait for a jug to come around and just blow them up. Full on Allah Akbar style. But with all this good news, I still have a lot of fears that still just kind of loom, and this isn't necessarily the game's fault. This is just COD as a whole and what I've come to expect from these games. My biggest fear is that Activision is gonna pull some pretty slick stuff. Now, Activision is kind of up there with EA in terms of bad gaming stunts, bad stunts for the community of their games, like Battlefront 2 for EA. That game, it was just awful at one point, and now I've heard it's a lot more fair in terms of the loot boxes and everything like that. Nothing's restricted to the player, only certain, you know, upgrades, certain tiers that you could get from the battle pack. But it's a lot easier now, it's a lot less of a grind. You know, they fixed it eventually, but initially it was such a pay to win game, and that is one of my biggest fears when it comes to a COD game, is that certain things that aren't cosmetic are going to be held away from the player and just dangled in front of their face and said, guess what kitty, you want this? Well, you gotta buy a fucking loot box, bud. So yeah, loot boxes, I just want them to be cosmetic, and it's a lot like Titanfall. Titanfall had probably one of the best loot box systems because none of it altered the gameplay. It was all optional. It was purely cosmetic items. Modern Warfare at first too, perfect. Only cosmetic items, but then the guns started to roll into those packs, and I'm like, oh no, this is where the game starts to suck. But personally, for me, it doesn't matter if they have a different gun, because I just still whoop ass, you know. I'm a god at the game. You could have a tier 10 shotgun, I'll whoop you. Another thing, just like the overall point of my biggest fears, is that they're gonna sacrifice the longevity of the game just for the sake of profit. They're gonna make it so the game is unfair, unbalanced, and there's not going to be much fun behind it. And that's something that I think will absolutely kill this game, because they have something that is so perfect, something that, you know, it goes back to the older CODs, and it just has a gritty, grounded experience. And I literally mean grounded. It's boots on the ground, modern day, no more futuristic crap, because I'm pretty sure we were all getting fatigued of that. No cheap gimmicks or tricks. It's a fun, balanced experience like the older CODs were. Well, maybe not fully balanced like Modern Warfare 2, because that was... Oh man, those kill streaks were something, weren't they? But I think at the end of the day, what we all want is we just want COD to be what COD used to be, you know? We want those maps that were unique, like Quarry on Modern Warfare 2, like, you know, what was it, Cargo on, oh no, Carrier, that's what it was, on Black Ops 2. You know, just maps you could easily look at, and it has a distinct characteristic about it, whether it be, you know, like the setting, the location, some of the landmarks, maybe even if it's raining or snowing, you know, stuff like that. One thing I want in this COD too, and I think we all want it as well, is perks and weapons that have a legitimate trade-off. Older CODs like Modern Warfare 2, the perks mattered. You picking that perk had a big significant difference in how your class ran against picking some other perk. I remember back in Black Ops 2 even, I'd spend hours crafting a class that fit what kind of playstyle I was going for. If I was going for something very sneaky, very sneaky, you know, on Search and Destroy to try to get like ninja defuses, because yeah, I used to do that. Obviously I want something like Cold-Blooded, Dead Silence, so they couldn't hear me walk up to the bomb and, you know, nay their whole team. And the weapons too, especially in COD, because the map helps for how these weapons run, because they offer various sightlines, but the weapons need to be good in certain situations. Not like something like the BAL in Advanced Warfare that just murked no matter what range you were at. It was honestly like the most annoying gun because everyone used it. And now of course in COD games there's always going to be an overpowered weapon. That's just any game really. But each gun had its own purpose. It had its place in the overall sandbox of the game. If you guys want to check out what I mean by the sandbox of the game, I'm going to leave a link in the description to both the trailer for Modern Warfare, just so you guys can watch it as well, and a YouTuber named The Ackman. And I recommend looking into his Modern Warfare 2 and why it's so awesome video, because that explains well how sandbox in games should work, especially in COD games, how the sandbox in COD games should work to get better understanding of what a COD game used to be. You definitely want to check that out. Campaign wise, I just want a good storytelling experience that has legitimate balls and is not afraid to show the true horrors of war. And I'm talking about true horrors as in something that's like, oh shit, that actually just happened, instead of using like gore just for the sake of having gore, you know. World War II was probably the cheapest campaign experience because they were too afraid to show the real horrors of war. World at War, it showed, you know, your teammates getting mowed down where you were lying in a ditch in, you know, as a Russian. The Germans were running up and just destroying your teammates, and then you eventually see a whole darker side where the Russians are starting to fight back and take over, and now they're just needlessly killing off soldiers who have already surrendered. Like, that was legitimate balls right there. They weren't afraid to show how gruesome war got once you were on the winning side. The co-op experience, I think, will have a huge part in how good the game could be, because yeah, sure, it's that third game mode that nobody necessarily always plays, but it's something that'll always be fun from time to time when you're maybe a little drained from playing multiplayer and just want to have a fun experience with your friends. That's something that they could take a lot of notes from Modern Warfare 3 and really create a similar experience and expand further upon it. I think at the end of the day, we all just want the old COD back, and we're finally managing to get that experience back. That gritty experience that was just straight up fun for everybody. You know, toxic yet still fun, you know? And I think this is what they're going to deliver, and if they're not, then COD has pretty much lost my interest as a fan, because this is like the last game I could probably stomach for a while, because I've really gotten to getting fatigued over the series and just how oversaturated and reused a lot of the ideas can get. But with all that being said, I'd like to know what you guys think about the new COD. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Tell me what you'd like to see. And guys, if you'd like me to upload more then I'm gonna need y'all's help, because I'm really busy trying to make, car payments and insurance payments. So I have to always have a job, and to ensure that, I'm a bit more motivated to work on this channel, I need you guys' help in showing some love and support for each video. If you guys could like the video, subscribe for more, I'd appreciate it a lot. Have a nice day. It's DrMemeologist, and stay meming memers. I really don't even have an intro.